I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about I was needy and I wanted her full attention. Ooh, feels intense, doesn't it?
Full attention.
You know, when we have those attachment issues, we can come on very strong to other people and feel very intense.
Right? And we can also be very sensitive to when we only have 99% of someone's attention.
Yeah.
Right? We can be very focused on whether they're giving us all their attention or if they're distracted or diverted, and even for just a millisecond.
Yeah, it's so true. And it could really hurt our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
When you have hurt and you feel neglected in your childhood, this is often what happens in your adult romantic relationship. So you have to work on these things. If you don't process it and deal with it, you're going to kill the attraction in your romantic relationships. There's no other way around it. This is a bottom line kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Don't internalize it as, you know, there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with me. It's not about that. It's about making changes to your behavior to get different results in your romantic life.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And it's also about building confidence. It's about building confidence to say, okay, if I have 99% of someone's attention, this person cares, right?
Yeah.
They're still able to focus as much as humanly possible, right?
It's almost an A+.
Yeah.
Right? I can't settle for almost A+.
It's to be 100%.
Yes, must
Eyes
be
on me, right here.
You're going to get broken up with when you're like that. And so we see that often. Mm-hmm. That's why we're always talking about healing attachment issues, the anxious avoidant trap, understanding your partner's needs, understanding how you're coming across in your romantic relationships. And so it's good to take a look at it and reflect on it and see those blind spots that you're probably having. Mm-hmm. So today I've got an email coaching from a couple in their mid-20s who were together for about a year and a half. Now, part of the challenge of this situation is that they share a lot of the same friends and they go to a church together. And so he's trying to figure out how to navigate that. Like, how do I handle no contact if I'm in a situation where I'm going to be around her at church? Mm-hmm. I don't want to ruin my chances.
Yeah. Right?
So we're going to get into this one. He says, I met my ex at church and asked her out there. We dated a few times and really liked each other. It quickly became clear that we were in the classic avoidant, anxious pattern, with me being the anxious one. And women get really turned off by anxious guys' behavior. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it is that way, but it is what it is. And if you do those things, it just is going to hurt the attraction. So make those changes. And you'll see different results.
Right? You want to show your most confident self. You also want to feel your most confident self.
Yep. She broke up with me pretty quickly in the beginning because I was too much for her. See, that's that intensity that we're talking about.
And I'll just comment that for women, right, we can be more vulnerable in relationships, just looking at, you know, intimate partner violence rates and statistics and things like that. And so somebody coming on very strong in the beginning, having that level of intensity can feel unsafe.
Yes. Yeah, sure, because people can lose emotional self-control, mm-hmm. get violent, and get dangerous. Right. Yeah, sure. Right. So it makes sense. She wasn't sure if she loved me. This was repeated itself several times in the relationship where I was the one who wanted to fix everything after the breakup. Typical anxious behavior, he puts. Mm-hmm. We got back together and worked on ourselves several times on and off. This was very tiring. And you know, when people get up, they feel tired. They no longer have the energy and the excitement surrounding the connection. It feels more of a drain, mm-hmm. you know? And that's part of the reason the attraction wanes. Later in the relationship, her mother became seriously ill and died of cancer. That's awful. That was the end of 2023 when that happened. So you can only imagine what she's going through, being so young in her early 20s, losing her mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you lost a parent young.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible. I lost my mom when I was a bit older, but it's still, you know, once you lose a parent, life feels very different in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it impacts everything, even your relationships, right?
Yep. This was a shock for her, and I did my best to be there for her, and I'm grateful I could be during this difficult time. This certainly also put a lot of pressure on the relationship, as you can imagine. She closed herself off even more and distanced herself even more than before. Yeah, she was probably depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe she felt she could have done more for her mom. Maybe she felt like she could have been a better daughter for her mom. I'm not saying that she did anything wrong, but sometimes people start to think those things in that situation.
And this is a pattern that I see a lot. You know, for those of you who are in an anxious avoidant trap or who were in that kind of dynamic, when the person who's more avoidant is going through something in their life, this is a person who already has a low capacity for dealing with emotions, for handling emotions.
Yep.
So they're going to be overwhelmed, they close off, and the person who's anxious typically has a very hard time with it. They have a very hard time understanding that whatever circumstance is going on in that avoidance life is impacting their ability to give you attention and to give the relationship attention.
Yep.
And so it's taken really personally.
Yeah, absolutely. After a few months, things started to calm down a bit, and we tried to focus on fun things like taking a car trip out of the country. During this holiday, we often had arguments because I was needy and wanted her full attention. I noticed that I increasingly sought her approval to feel that she did love me, and my self-esteem depended on it. Yep, so too much of that, and somebody's going to be like, ugh. It feels like Pepe Le Pew, you know, where he's like, and he's like smothering, you know what I mean? You remember Pepe Le Pew? And he's grabbing and he's holding on and he won't let go, and it's like, and it's like, this is too much. This is too much, man. People are like, who's Pepe Le Pew?
And this is also several months after this major loss for her, you know, so this is still, in terms of grief, very fresh.
Yeah.
Very fresh. And it's tough, once again, with that dynamic, that anxious avoidant trap, because the longer it takes for that person to really recover and kind of for things to truly go back to normal, the more personal they take it. It's been months already, you know, and they should be over it by now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you hear people say that, and, you know, the person who's anxious doesn't understand the gravity of the situation sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I did everything to get her approval, and when she rejected me, it felt like I was dying. It was an emotional roller coaster. So that makes me feel, the way he describes it, it feels like a very early attachment trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was abandoned and he felt like he was dying without his mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how intense it feels. During this time, I experienced feelings for another person, her friend. Here we go. Strap yourself in. Because she was very open and could give me the attention that I missed in the relationship. Okay, so this is a fantasy because he's only going to the friend from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 24/7 like he expects his partner to be. So it's going to feel like she's always there for you because she doesn't have as much responsibility to you as the other person.
Right? And this is such a lose-lose situation, right? It's difficult to be with somebody whose value depends on somebody else's approval, because when you are unable to give it, and when your partner's not a priority in your life, sometimes as that happens, then you see the outcome, right? They're able to get that attention from a different source instead of being able to self-soothe, or instead of deciding, you know, this situation is not working for me and I need to, you know, get my needs met somewhere else. And you're left with these kind of situations. You know, on his end, it's also a loss because he's not getting his needs met and he's going through different means of getting it. So it's,
he's
it's a lose-lose.
He's going to get himself into a lot of trouble here. You could already feel it coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He says, I kept this quiet for a while and did not do anything with it when I was in a relationship with my ex. I felt guilty that I had feelings and thoughts for her friend while I did not want this. Later, I told her, and it came as a bomb for her. It felt good to tell her and not keep any secrets anymore, but she was devastated. I made it clear to her that I love her and that love is a choice and not just a feeling. Then, after the conversation, we had a nice month or so together with the necessary push-pull relationship. She found new struggles in the relationship, that I didn't have enough goals and ambitions because I completely focused on the relationship and neglected myself. And I think she was so hurt by finding out that he liked the friend that probably made her lose a lot of attraction. And so now she's probably starting to look for the faults.
Right, right. And just going back to what I was saying, when you have a partner who's unable to self-soothe or to be very direct about what's going on or what they're feeling in the moment, then, you can see that they can be swayed or influenced by other people, and they become less trustworthy, less reliable.
Yeah. I told her that this shouldn't matter in the relationship as long as you love each other. Oh boy, was I wrong. I only said these things because I found it difficult to choose myself and was insecure. So in a way, I manipulated her to not mind, which I regret now. This also lasted a few months where we tried to work it out, but this didn't last long. In December of 2024, we broke up for good. It was her birthday, and I was in my emotions again because I felt abandoned and she was nagging me the whole day for no reason. Well, who knows what was going on there. May have been doing something that was getting under her skin. She was already probably frustrated, unsure if she wanted to continue. And so she was probably maybe pushing him away unconsciously a bit too. It was intense because we were screaming loudly in front of family and friends. We both ended up crying and calling it quits right there. I didn't want to contact her, but she was reacting out to me to make things up. I was still in my emotions and told her I needed my time. Sounds very intense, doesn't it? Later that week, we saw each other and we both came to the conclusion that this is not working for both of us, so we ended the relationship. After a few days, I was in panic mode and really missed the connection. I was thinking about her friend that I liked, and I sent her a message that I liked her and wanted to meet 1 week after the breakup.
Whew.
Not good. Not good. If that's really her friend, she's going to be loyal to her friend. She's going to be like, I can't date you. Like, even if she could see herself dating him, it might have been way down the line,
Right.
not a week after the breakup.
Yeah. Yep. And on his end, same thing I've been saying, right? If he's unable to manage, and we see a lot of this happen after breakups where people quickly go after whatever or whoever is giving them attention, right? And this is an inability to really sit with yourself, inability to self-soothe, going after distractions that feel good in the moment. And trust me, I understand when you're going through a breakup, it's one of the worst pains that you can experience, and people will do anything to not feel that way.
Yep.
However, right, if we're working towards being more secure, then that also means being able to handle rejection, being able to handle it when things go awry, and being able to sit with it and make good decisions for yourself. Right?
Yep.
So,
All right, let's keep going here. He says, this is probably the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. I only did this because I was in my emotions and felt so abandoned that I needed something to ease the pain. Well, just like you've been using your girlfriend to soothe yourself, now you're looking for a new woman to do it with. That's your issue, and you got to work on soothing yourself. And until you learn to do that, you're going to keep doing this to the people that you date, right?
Yeah.
So I used her for that, and I'm not proud of it. Her friend contacted my ex and said that I sent her a message that wanted to meet up with her. My ex was deeply disappointed in me and angry. Can't blame her. My ex told me that we should never be in a relationship again, and her friends knew what happened. You guessed it, I went after her and hoped to get her back because I still love her, and this didn't work. A month later, everything cooled down. I saw her sometimes and our friends at church. The times I saw her, she started flirting with me and giving me breadcrumbs. I could see it in her eyes that she still loved me, and I loved her. You know, sometimes you hear people say, I could see it in their eyes. I know they do. I know they still... And maybe that's true. But sometimes it feels like it's projecting. Or maybe a little bit more optimistic than how that other person is truly feeling. I really wanted her back after the flirting. I tried talking back into a relationship. This didn't work, and she started pushing me away again. I tried again and again without success. This went on all month. She kept telling me because of what had happened, we could no longer have a relationship. But she was playing with my emotions, and she even said she wanted to kiss me and kept flirting with me when she saw me.
Okay.
Talk about some mixed messages. We can't ever be in a relationship, but I sure do want to kiss you. Like, what? What? What does that mean? That would leave him. He's so emotional and vulnerable at this point that that's making him nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Later, I talked to her one-on-one, and she told me that she also likes someone else and has feelings for that person from work.
Whew.
Now, she dropped the bomb on you.
I know.
She got a little revenge.
My initial reaction is, how you like them apples?
You did it to her with her friend, told her about it, and now she's telling you about someone else that she likes now. Very interesting how quickly that turned around, right? She said she would not find it fair if she would enter into a relationship with me because she still likes that person. She told me that it'll never work out with him because he's not a Christian. This broke me, so I asked her if we could meet. I suggested we go to therapy together if she's also willing to forgive me, or that we could no longer have contact and no longer flirt with each other. She was happy with the latter. She found it difficult because it felt so final and she still liked me. We gave each other a big hug and I left. Since then, I haven't talked to her or seen her. I'm devastated. All I can think about is her and I want to be with her. Then I found your videos. They helped me. And I even bought the creative healing course and went to therapy for my anxiety issues and low self-esteem. Okay, so he's now doing the work, so this is good. My question is, how do I deal with seeing her in church and then when we meet up with friends? Because I go to church every week. My heart races when I see her and I don't want to say stupid things. I don't also want to break no contact because I want to give her a chance to miss me. Okay, so in this situation, what you got to do is you got to leave her alone. At church, just leave her be. If she comes over to you, be friendly, be polite, but you kind of want to be business related until and unless she's saying, like, you know, she's interested in something else. Now, you could maybe say, hey, would you like to get together and catch up and go out and see what she says? I think she'll say no at this point because she's more interested in this other guy. But then that gives you the opportunity to say, well, look, why don't you let me know when you do want to go out? And then I'm going to try and stay away from her a bit more and make her work to get your attention because we need her interest level to drop in the other guy, with the other guy, and for her to kind of miss him and think that maybe they could turn this around. Because at this point, I think she's just, you know, more interested in this other guy and kind of breadcrumbing him here. And I don't like that she's doing that because, you know, she's flirting. She says she wants to kiss him, but, you know, that's kind of tough. and it is playing with his emotions a bit.
Right. And I think in this situation, what we've been talking about here is what he's going to be challenged in, and that's his ability to self-soothe. So when you're in church, when you are meeting with other friends, your ability to be cordial with her, not overthink every interaction and just let things kind of spill, but be very controlled, be very intentional with the ways that you interact, that is what's going to be challenged. So this is going to take work on being able to manage your anxiety. This is going to take work in decision making, making sure you're making good decisions in terms of what you're doing, what you're saying, how you choose to communicate, and being aware of the ways that you're interpreting all of these different behaviors.
Yeah. Well, she's, clearly showing some kind of interest here, and it's making it confusing. But for the most part, you don't want to keep trying to talk to her at church about this relationship. That's got to go. At the very most, if she approaches you and she seems warm or friendly, say, well, did you want to get together and catch up? Or, something like that. And I don't think she's going to say yes right now. But then I'm going to say, well, why don't you just let me know if you change your mind and you do. And then kind of just leave her be. Don't make any attempts. I've seen so many people blow it in this situation. They can't help but sit by them. They can't help but park their car by them. They can't help but engage in a conversation where they're doing. Don't do those things. You're only going to make it less likely to turn around. Let her miss you. Let her figure things out on her own, and let her make more of an effort. And at some point, maybe you could call her out for the flirting and be like, "You say you want to kiss me, and you say that you like me still and you're attracted to me, but you don't want to go anywhere."
Yeah.
Like, that's
what's going on.
Yeah, what does that mean? Like, let's get together. We'll go out and have some fun. If you want to kiss me, let's go out.
My other thoughts on this is, we know that she's still going through grief. We know that grief is relatively fresh here. And we're also talking about her faith community and her social support system. So we don't want to mess these things up for her. These are her sources of support while she is going through a tough time. So being cordial is, a no-brainer here. You want to make sure that these spaces are still safe for her. If you see that she is uncomfortable around you in any way, and this means being able to use your observational skills, right? Being able to notice body language, things like that. If you notice that she's uncomfortable around you, give her some space. Allow her to connect with her support system, with her faith group.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind.
You definitely have to hold it together. You're definitely going to have to act relaxed and calm and not bring up anything at church, because that's not fair. It's like kind of bombarding her or attacking her. And, it's got to be more of a conversation where it's like she's trying to open the door to something, not you trying to force something. If you need to take a break from going to that church for a little bit, or go at a time or day where she's not going to be there, that might be something you want to consider, at least temporarily, till you can make sure you get yourself under control. And the other thing is that it could make her uncomfortable seeing him at church all the time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times people are like, oh gosh, they're only coming to this service because they know I'm going to be here. They don't normally come to this one. So you want to make sure you're not doing anything like that either.
Right.
So let's see what happens here. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.